everyone, I'm Baby B.
And I'm Daddy D. And welcome back to our channel.
Today we're going to be talking about the history of Easter. But first, before we get into that, don't forget to subscribe. Turn on the notification bell by clicking on it so that you know when we are online next or when we post a new video.
If you're on our Twitch, just give us a follow and you'll get a notification every single time we go live. We're streaming on both at the same time, so wherever you are in the world, welcome, and I hope you enjoy.
Both Twitch and YouTube. Also, we post a new video every Sunday around 1 p.m. Pacific time.
Or live stream like this. Depends on.
I said that.
Yeah, depends on how prepared we are.
I was waiting for you to say the other part. Okay. Anyway, what do you guys know about Easter besides bunnies and chocolates and Easter egg hunts?
Jesus.
Oh yeah, that.
So this weekend we've kind of gone into the history of things that are less traditional than are celebrated. Most of them are considered pagan, which pretty much just means that it's not a widespread religious celebration. And this is more of the ancient history of why we celebrate the spring equinox and beginning of spring and everything. So, hope you enjoy.
Yeah. So, one of the truths of Easter that we found is that Easter actually originated as a celebration of Ishtar. It was a Babylonian and Assyrian. She was a goddess, and she was also a goddess of fertility and procreation.
So this was actually created as a meme. I actually fell for the same situation, and I believed this to be true because there was so much that made sense and just kind of like clicked all together, and it actually it bamboozled me. So I was baffled by this, and this being because Ishtar was a real Mesopotamian goddess figure from Babylonia. She was known for fertility and procreation. Her symbols were supposedly the egg and bunny, which was included in this meme. And
I don't feel like they should have put eggs with bunnies because bunnies don't produce eggs. However, the only reason why that we associate the two is because chickens or birds pop out eggs a lot, and that's a sign of fertility.
Right. So the bunnies and eggs we'll get into a little bit later, but this beginning part is just about how the meme used kind of colloquial information comprised together. This is where when you read ahead, you'll see what's going on. This was all kind of trickery by someone. Well,
wait, what were they trying to trick you about?
I mean, I think it was just somebody trying to.
It was a joke, right? That's what memes are. It's a joke, kind of.
Right, but it can also be. It can also
like
be false information that people are just trying to use to manipulate situations.
Oh.
So Ishtar was a goddess of love, war, and procreation, fate, childbirth, marriage, storms. There's some fertility in there, but similar to the Greek goddess Aphrodite, there's also an element of power. Her cult practiced a type of sacred union of people where women would wait at the temple and then have adult relations with strangers. And they believed that this would give you a divine blessing and money from that person to feed their children, pay off any debts they had, stuff like that. So it was, like most religious aspects of things, a tool for living your life, etc. Her symbols, however, were related to a lion, a star, the morning one in particular, and an 8 or 16 pointed star, which also were symbols of power and less of love and romance. So the next point, Easter being from Ishtar, the actual history of Easter, the word comes more from the German side of things, the goddess Yostre, Eostre. I may be pronouncing that wrong. My ancient German is kind of rusty. But she was the goddess of the dawn, a bringer of light.
Which makes sense with the morning star. It's not even a star, it's Venus, but whatever. It's the brightest thing in the earth.
Brightest thing on earth.
Yeah, it is. It's in the morning and at night, and that's why they call it the morning stars, because it looks like a star, but it's not. It's actually a planet, and it's Venus, who is also represented by the goddess Aphrodite.
So yeah, Easter, English and German are actually the smallest group that uses the word Easter to mark the spring equinox and the changing of the season. So elsewhere in the world, it's formed from the Latin Pascha, which is derived from the Hebrew Pesach, meaning it's kind of like the Passover. So,
Azizov says, "Cool ears, thanks."
They're pretty awesome, rainbow glittery.
You match my hair.
You got the blue spring colors going on. Welcome to the stream. We're just kind of going over the history of Easter and some of the myths surrounding it, less about the religious aspect and more about the ancient history of it.
Because we all know that the Easter was actually kind of stolen by Christians. But anyway,
I mean, a lot of modern day celebrations were kind of converted from.
Not converted. They stole the ideas.
Converted meaning they used traditional celebrations and then linchpinned them into.
I was like, lynch. This is not that kind of channel.
No, linchpin, like they kind of took the whole thing and then just turned it towards Christianity and was like, hey, you celebrate the spring equinox. Well, guess what?
They used it as inspiration.
Jesus can do the same thing for you, and then give them a reason to celebrate in a Christian manner rather than their traditional values.
So actually, I just want to touch on the Latin Pascha, which is similar to Spanish's Pascual, which is Easter. So all of these words are Latin based and they all sound similar, but they all kind of are like deriving from the same thing. So even the Hebrew Pesach means Passover and stuff.
Yeah, and Ishtar and Easter are homophones. They sound similar, but they definitely have different meanings, and that might be where some of the confusion comes from.
Yeah, not the same people.
All right, so next we're moving on to the eggs. So
eggs.
The meme places the egg in Ishtar's domain, but Ishtar doesn't really have any connections to eggs explicitly. However, there are many other traditions that involve the egg as a symbol of rebirth, fertility, just life in general. And some of those examples are ancient Egyptians. They believed that a primeval egg actually hatched the sun god. So it was...
Well, they believed that the egg hatched first, not the chicken. Chicken or the egg.
As you'll see, some of the other ones believe that humans came from eggs. So...
What?
Yeah.
Who hatched us?
Yeah, they say the sun itself came from an egg laid by a celestial goose, Seb. Space geese. Oh, we need to tell Tyler about the space geese that laid the sun egg. That would be great.
I know about the golden goose. Is that the same thing? Because suns are golden too.
The phoenix, another mythical creature, it's a bird, and birds usually hatch from eggs, as far as I can tell. There was a world egg molded by Num from a lump of clay on a potter's wheel.
Isn't that Khnum?
It's Egyptian. If you can pronounce it better than I can, go for it.
Khnum. I don't know.
Ahnum. So, an excerpt from. Next is Hinduism. Hinduism connects the content of egg and the structure of the universe. So the shell of the egg represents heaven, the white, the air, and then the yolk is the earth. So many cultures kind of use eggs as a representation.
They broke it down. Get it?
Don't break your yolk. So the sun. This is an excerpt from the Chandogya Upanishads. Upanishads.
Upanishads.
Okay. That. The sun is Brahma. This is the teaching. A further explanation thereof is as follows. In the beginning, this world was merely non-being. It's an excerpt. Merely non-being. It was existent. It developed. It turned into an egg. It lay for a period of a year. It was split asunder. One of the two eggshell parts became silver, one gold. That which was of silver is earth. That which was of gold is the sky. Now what was born, therefore, is yonder sun. So the inside of the egg became the sun, and then the shell of the egg became the earth and heavens. I think that was also because they didn't realize that Earth was flat back then. Or the Earth was round. They were flat earthers. So they saw.
Not everybody thought that.
I mean, that's ancient Hinduism. That's before like Galileo and stuff like that. Isn't it
Yeah.
Galileo who figured it out?
Yeah.
Either way. So, Zoroastrian the creation of them tells of an ongoing struggle between good and evil. After several thousand years of truce, evil hurls himself into an abyss and good lays an egg. This egg represents the universe and earth suspended from the sky between where good and evil lives. Evil pierces the egg, returns to the earth, and then the two forces continue their battle. So,
I'll do the next part. In Finland, Luonnotar, the daughter of nature, flows on the waters of the sea. She's minding her own business, as most water nymphs do, and an eagle arrives and builds a nest on her knee. That's like such a weird place to do your thing, but whatever. And like several eggs. And after a few days, the eggs begin to burn, and Luonnotar jerks her knee away, causing the eggs to fall and break. And the pieces from the world as we know it, the upper halves are the skies, and the lower are the earths, and the yolk becomes the sun, and the whites become the moon.
So
it's like very similar. Like these, so like India is not very close to Finland. India is in Asia. It's like south, has its own little area, and then all the way north in Europe is Finland. How the heck do they have the same types of myths for how they create? This is more like a creation of the world rather than actual Easter. But it's interesting because there's overlap with eggs.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with beginnings and creation and just where do things come from, since it's spring, fertility, life is blooming.
Procreation.
Yeah, things are being born in the spring because it's no longer winter. You can go out to be alive.
Yeah, more energy. You're not hibernating no more.
Krill 940 says the baby.
The baby! That's me.
There's also a rapper called The Baby. But yes, this is The Baby
I'm
of
Baby
this
D.
channel. So, and I'm Daddy D. So this next one's actually good for you. But you were talking about Luonnotar having a nest on her knee. She is the daughter of nature. So it's kind of like
I know, but why her
daughter.
knee? Why not her shoulder?
All right, if you were hippie nature goddess, and you called an eagle to you to take care of its children, and you
shoulder.
Your shoulder?
Yeah, haven't you seen falconers have like birds on their shoulder, or like the little blue bird on your shoulder? Why the hell the knee? That doesn't make any sense.
Pirates. Falconers had them on their arm. Like they had the
No,
arm
I know.
thing.
Well, it depends on how broad your shoulder is, because it wasn't there in like some movies where there's like a bird that like rests on the shoulder. They do.
I mean, it seems very pirate, but if I were a nature goddess, I wouldn't want a baby on my shoulder screeching in my ear all the time. But that's
too logical. Whatever. I mean, we're talking about like supernatural stuff. Maybe she can ear cancel on one ear. Who knows?
So he wants to know how old you are and why you're speaking like a baby. It's just, that's who she is. That's her personality, and we're okay with that here. So
the next one is...
This is actually great for you. So I think
I'll just say this one.
when you read this I actually found this really interesting. So
Okay. In China, there are several legends that hold a cosmic egg at their center, including the idea that the first being were certain people were born of eggs. For example, the Palangs trace their ancestry to a Naga princess who laid 3 eggs, and the Qin will not kill the king crow because it laid the original Qin egg from which they emerged.
Chin, like China.
Yeah, I get it. I just don't. I've never heard of any humans being born from eggs, except for Razafine. But like, I don't know. Like,
That's not even a human.
whatever.
And that was an anime.
I've never heard of this before.
Right. Well, I mean, that's their legends, and there are several of them. But it looks like a particular province traces their ancestry. I've heard of the Naga before. They were like marine folk that came from the oceans.
That's news to me.
Okay, here we go. So now we're talking about bunnies. Contrary to the assertion of the meme we spoke of, eggs and bunnies actually do have something to do with the idea of resurrection. In early stories, the creator often emerged from the egg itself in some forms. And then we see about the cosmic egg in Vedic writings has a spirit inside of it which shall be born, die, and then be born again. So resurrection.
So it's an everlasting egg?
It's a egg which rebirths. And I mean, I feel like that's kind of like the circle of life mentality where you have something be born and then it grows and then it perishes, then comes back to the earth and is reborn anew.
I mean, honestly, like if you look at the galaxy, like any galaxy, there's a center, and it looks like a little circle, and then there's like outer rings, and they kind of dissipate in different colors, and you can see stars through them because there's like gases and different kinds of matter, and it kind of looks like an egg because like take our Milky Way galaxy for example. There's the spiraling of the arms because it's all vortexing in the center.
There's a black hole in the center. That's why.
Well, it looks like a freaking egg.
Sagittarius A is the largest black hole in our solar system, and it's pulling everything towards its center.
We're all gonna die
in like a million years. Actually, the way black holes is a different thing. The way black holes compress things, you wouldn't even notice it happening because everything is being compressed around you. That's a completely different thing. So, some parallels between certain religion, Hindu, Prajapati, as well as Brahma, and then to the Egyptian Thoth, Ra, and Osiris were all depicted returning to life after rising up from the shell of a broken egg. So this idea of death, rebirth, cycling through an egg, even into the phoenix, is all similar. After Phoenix died in flames, it would leave an egg behind, which it laid, and then be reborn from it.
I've never seen that. I've usually seen phoenixes just rise from the ashes.
I feel like that too, but it's romanticized, and most of that's in like pop culture. So they want to make it a spectacle when it happens, rather than, oh, R.I.P. Phoenix, here's an egg you have to take care of and wait until it's born again. The phoenix was adopted as a Christian symbol in first century.
Really?
Yeah, first century AD.
I never saw it.
It's in funeral stones in Christian art, churches, painting, stonework. The egg from which it rose has become our Easter egg. As with many symbols, Easter eggs continue to shift. Observant Christians when Lent came about in the 3rd and 4th, so around 300, 400 AD, Christians then started to abstain from dairy, milk, cheese, butter, eggs. And in England, the Saturday before Lent, children would go around asking for eggs as a special treat before Lent began because they knew they wouldn't have it for 40 days. So
you had to beg for eggs just because you weren't allowed to have it.
Well, I mean,
as
a child, many people go around asking just for things. It's like, do you have candy? Do you have a treat for me? I'm cute. Give me something.
Wait, isn't there the Where's the one about the witches and how the kids had to go door to door and like ask for it's like Halloween, but it's not. They asked for candy. Or no, they were saying something about like Happy Easter, Happy Easter. They would dress as witches and go knock on door to door and say Happy Easter and in exchange for candy.
That sounds like Halloween.
No,
Easter.
it's not. It's Easter.
You can find it while I continue on. So, if you've ever colored eggs in observance of Easter, that is tied to the rebirth and resurrection as well. Today, the colors are much more vibrant and varied and kind of patterns on it, but the traditional way of doing it was by dyeing the eggs red. Most Christian religions, red symbolizes the blood of Jesus, and in Macedonians, it was a tradition to bring red eggs to church and then eat it when the priest proclaims that Jesus has risen. And then that means the fast is officially over. So at church, when Jesus lives again, you can go and eat anything you had abstained from. So many celebrations nowadays go back to lighting candles and lights around Christmas time, things like that. They were all means to drive away the darkness and evil spirits. So if there was ever a lighting of a candle or Christmas lights or anytime things were illuminated, it was to cast away the shadows of evil spirits around you. So Ishtar may have had some connections to the rites of spring, and Easter itself is an observance of spring, but so many things have been done just in the name of religion. It's kind of difficult to just justify one thing for another. It's really worth looking into the exact history of what's going on. And I mean, I learned a lot just from kind of doing some research on this thing, but this kind of allows us to understand why we celebrate things and how we can change it in the future.
I found it. Okay, so there's something called Easter witches in Finland and Sweden. It's actually an old Swedish legend, and they used to have blockulas, which were it was a legend about flying witches on brooms. So, like the Thursday before Easter, they called it Maunday Thursday. I don't know how to pronounce this. Skartorsdagen. You kind of like Thursday, like Thor.
Skartorsdagen. Skartorsdagen.
Dagen, yeah. Dagen is probably day. Tor is like Thursday. Skar is probably like the before. Or on the night between Wednesday, like Holy Wednesday, and Thursday before, and returning on Easter. That's when the witches would fly. Modern times, children dress up as witches, and old ladies wore in old men's clothing, and they go from door to door, and they greet like Happy Easter, and they receive like candy and treats in return. In sometimes, from before, they would actually hold bonfires. What I read, and they would host that while the witches were flying, so it would scare the witches for coming home. So it's kind of like weird because now the children dress up as witches, but before they were scared of the witches, so they didn't, just they make a big fire and be like, "Don't come home."
I mean,
secretly.
I feel like magic and enchantment has always fascinated children. So and then I mean also there's obviously some cultural significance to it. Magic was much more a part of those daily lives than our daily lives are currently. And I mean, some people seriously feared the consequences of things like that, and other people kind of took it at face value. So that's interesting. I'd never heard of Easter witches before.
Yeah.
This was just another reason for you to get candy, huh?
And talk about witches.
Magic.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the other side of Easter that is not Hallmark. It's not part of the Hallmark holiday.
It's less commercialized.
Yeah, that
portion
we're
of it.
used to.
But I mean, there was another article I read that also mentioned things like marshmallow birds and
Peeps?
yeah, I mean, we're not sponsored by anything,
Oh.
so but yes,
Yeah.
marshmallow birds and things like that. They kind of commercialize, and children love candy. It's a time of celebration. Once again, it's like you can finally go out and be alive again. Most places in Europe actually have very cold winters, and sometimes you actually wonder, when is the sun gonna come back? Are we ever gonna defrost and have things
Live
melt
again?
away? Because it was winter in the olden times
It
before
was harsh.
things like commercialized processing of foods and things like that. You had to harvest everything and then make sure that it stuck around long enough into the winter that you had supplies, and it was completely in your hands if you survived the winter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't think you can live off candy.
yeah, I'm sure you could, but it would be
It
very
is bad nutrition.
it'd be very poor nutrition. Yes. Yeah.
But I'll eat it now
Huh.
for dessert.
We already had dessert today.
But I would eat it again.
Candy never stops in this house. Anything else you want to talk about? Or are you feeling good about it?
That's good.
Yeah.
We went through a lot of things.
That was-
Learned some stuff.
I really like the articles we kind of ran through, because it definitely kind of avoided. I feel like, especially in America, I mean, things are changing nowadays. But when I was growing up, surrounded by Christianity, it's like, looking back, you're so hidden from other traditions that it's sometimes difficult to understand. I've only become more interested in history as I've grown older, probably because as a child you don't have much of a history to reference.
No, I was into history when I was young.
Then you were a very unique child.
I also liked art, so I tied it in with art. So I learned about art history first, and then got interested in actual history afterwards. Well, because the two are hand in hand. Like before, the only way to document history was to do it through like illustrations, cave paintings, sculptures.
Until like written language became a
No,
thing.
well, the Egyptians, their written language was pictures.
Yeah, pictograms, but they still have stories to go by.
Yeah.
They had, yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Anyway,
Right.
Yeah. So that's the history of Easter. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it so that other people can learn about it, and kind of like there's lots of things to learn about it. So there's a lot to unpack.
Just give a different perspective on a very widespread cultural holiday that,
it's the only reason why America and Europe, some parts of Europe might celebrate it is because the background was there. Other parts of the world, they don't know what Easter is and they don't celebrate it.
Traditions are literally peer pressure from dead people.
Yeah.
And it's the celebrations have been passed down. Humans want good reasons to celebrate: the community, the gathering of people, and then the joyous occasion of sharing experience with another person and eating good food. Things like that are all.
I don't need an excuse to celebrate. I just do it.
Yeah, I know you just do it, but I'm just saying, if you have a good reason to do it, rather than just, yes, celebrating life in general is good, but these are all occasion they mean more to some people than others. And sometimes that motivation is the only time you may get to see some people, and that can be very important in people's lives. So I appreciate the occasion, but understanding the history of it and the personality behind why we do the things we do has become very interesting. So thanks for joining us. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button or give us a follow. Like this video if you did. If you didn't, let us know why. We'll try and make it better next time. Until next time, though, thanks for joining us.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.